This is the AMDM, your quick morning podcast full of Memphis news. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Today is Tuesday, July 14th. 2 Memphis City Council members and 1 staffer are under investigation, according to a source. The City Council hired an independent counsel to look into Council Chairwoman Janice Swearingen Washington, Councilman J.B. Smiley Jr., and City Council Administrator Ashley Hayes. The source said the investigation is regarding potential violations of the city's code of ethics, as well as state, local, and federal laws, and may be ongoing. Comments from John DeBerry, the Republican nominee for Shelby County Mayor, were met with cheers and boos during a forum hosted by the Memphis Interfaith Coalition for Action and Hope. DeBerry voiced his support for the Memphis Safe Task Force, whose deployment has been criticized by Micah. In the same meeting, one Micah member later went on to say the task force's presence, quote, has only exacerbated our city's challenges and introduced more fear and violence into our neighborhoods. Most of the special election races on the August 6th ballot for judicial positions, as well as a county charter referendum question, were left off hundreds of Shelby County absentee ballots already sent to voters. The absentee ballots began arriving early this month to those who requested them. The Election Commission posted a notice Saturday saying supplemental ballots with the omitted races are being mailed to affected absentee voters and should arrive by a FedEx tracked mailing by Wednesday. Voters should fill out the ballot without the races along with the supplemental ballot, which includes only those races not on the first ballot mailed. The notice blames a processing omission for the mistake. And now it's time for a look at one of the week's biggest stories with Mary Casciola. But stay with us after that for more of the day's news.
Last month, the Memphis City Council approved $5 million toward emergency repairs for AutoZone Park. But there's also about $35 million worth of deferred maintenance still needed on top of the $5 million at the park. I'm Mary Casciola. Deputy Sports Editor Tim Buckley recently talked to Craig Unger, the team's president and general manager, as well as fans about the park's future. Tim, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
Okay, so we are looking at about $40 million if we combine the $5 million and the $35 million that we think someone thinks the ballpark needs. What does that money include?
Yeah, that's the $35 million is the number that Craig Unger, the team's president and GM, was thrown around, and it's primarily deferred maintenance stuff. Everything from a new roof, which is understandable after 26 years, addressing horrible plumbing issues over there. I mean, there are numerous buckets spread throughout, especially the basement of the stadium. And suffice it to say, I would not drink the water in those buckets.
Oh, well, no.
Not real good looking. When it rains hard, Unger said, there's literally water dripping in the third floor offices. That's part of it. They got some electrical. There's literally concrete crumbling. I recently was out at the park and was sitting at a picnic table in right field, and the area around it that you're walking around is literally crumbling concrete. So it's all sorts of items like that, and that list goes on and on.
Right. It seems like one of the challenges is that a lot of these projects aren't things that will impact the fans, right? So like buckets in the basement, water coming into the offices, obviously crumbling concrete could be a large issue. But it does feel like that is one of the challenges with this, right?
Yeah, it's infrastructure stuff. It's the stuff that, like, when you're having your home renovated and they tell you they got to fix the plumbing underneath, like, you just kind of groan and go, there's nothing special about it that I'm going to see, but you have to take care of those. You have to do it. Unger used the phrase, and it's not super sexy stuff.
It is not.
But it's necessary stuff, which is what happens when you have not just months and months, but years and years and decades in this instance of deferred maintenance.
Right. So I guess the question is, if that's just all the, let's call them foundational issues, is the $40 million the entire project cost, or is that just sort of like the baseline of what it could be?
Well, that's the baseline that Craig Unger threw out in terms of infrastructure. And really that $40 million, let's not forget, there was another $5.3 million that they approved basically a couple of years ago, shortly
okay.
before Mayor Strickland's administration second term ended. So there's another 45. And then it's all the stuff on top of the deferred. How much of that is going to get done? And some of that is stuff that fans will notice, fans will see. Craig Unger was telling a story about the kitchen situation up there. Only one of the concession stands, which are spread out throughout the stadium, can you cook in.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that is crazy to me.
All the rest comes from a central kitchen, which he said was in right field.
Right.
And if you're the stand in left field and you run out of hot dogs, somebody from right field has to walk them around. I'm not necessarily wanting that dog. So it's stuff like that. It's just common sense stuff. And then their offerings, because of that, are very basic. And, there's so much more that they could do. And then there's the non-stadium stuff. If they're going to multi-purpose this stadium, they're going to have to come up with money for expenditures. Like, do you put in the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame? Do you put in group sales space? Do you put in space for gatherings and meetings? And
right, because they're wanting to make the stadium like active more days of the year.
They want to make it a 365. Hopefully they're closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
I was going to say, like, that is quite ambitious.
Yeah,
365.
So, they want to get more than the home games in a normal AAA schedule.
Right. And now soccer's not being played there because it was at one time. That was sort of like helping
and
the days.
The franchise ended up leaving, obviously, because the stadium just wasn't suited to accommodate it.
So I got to Memphis around the time the ballpark opened, right after, and it was like the nicest minor league stadium that had ever been seen. And that was like a crowning jewel, a diamond, if you will, in the middle of downtown Memphis. And I wonder if we thought, well, it's just so nice now. Like, we've made it to the top of the spectrum of what we could make it. And now it's like, well, we don't have any more money to put in, or it will always be this nice, or I'm not sure.
That thing was special when it first opened. It really was beautiful. People were raving about it. It basically had the construct of a major league stadium in terms of a concourse on the front. It just didn't have all the bleachers and the extra seating and everything to go with it. But I've been to a lot of minor league parks, and that one's special, and the downtown setting helps and everything. But it's like anything. After years and years of neglect, it just the polish is gone.
Right.
I've been doing some house shopping in Germantown, and there's a whole lot of houses in Germantown that have had decades of neglect. So when you see how much those houses cost, you got to factor in another $7,500, $150,000 worth of renovation. And this is that compounded to a structure that accommodates about 10,000 people if it's full.
Right. I think we have to talk about that. Some of this is really mandated by Major League Baseball. Like, we can't really get around it.
Yeah, so some of it was just in terms of the professional standards for the minor league teams that MLB requires, and they've addressed some of that in terms of darkening things in the outfield, so it's better for the hitters and all that. A big thing was these batting cages and pitching tunnels that that's part of the $5 million that already has been approved, but they haven't been able to finish that part of it because they had to take care of the firewall and they had to get the funding approved because they started doing some of those repairs before it was signed off on, which I'm sure some of the city council members weren't real thrilled with, but that's part of it that still needs to get done. And MLB could go so far as to say the stadium's not suitable for minor league AAA play. You got to relocate the franchise. They're addressing those issues. It's everything else, what's going to happen to the park beyond that, that's still really up in the air.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those up in the air things, because some of what you talked to Unger about was like giving today's fans what they expect, right? Or what they want. But what does that mean? Like, how has the fan experience changed in the last 25 years?
I think one big part of it is the food offerings. And it really is bare bones basics.
Yes,
I mean,
agreed.
you have your hot dogs and your corn dogs and your nachos, but nowadays when fans go in there, they want a culinary experience. Because a lot of them aren't going for the baseball. They're going for the fellowship. They're going for sitting and talking with friends and enjoying some good food. And those kind of offerings just aren't there.
Right. It's mostly hot dogs.
Yeah. I've had the chicken tenders and fries overpriced at $13. I think people expect more for their dollar nowadays. And the other part of it is, I think part of selling tickets, one of the big things now is group sales.
Right.
And they need more areas to accommodate what they would do. Now, whether that ends up being suites that are in better condition or other areas in the outfield where they can set up things to accommodate groups of 25 or 30 or whatever, that's where a lot of the dollar is to be made. And they're not making that right now. And, the Redbirds, let's make no mistake, they got a sweetheart lease.
Right.
I mean, at $300,000 a year plus the tax projections.
Because the city owns the actual park, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And there's a reason why they want to stay here.
Right.
Because they got a good thing going, even though attendance seems down a lot of nights, and it is. There's obviously a reason they want to stay, and it's probably because they know they can't get anything close to a deal like that elsewhere. But without these repairs, who knows what happens.
What about the Memphis-St. Louis connection? Does that have anything to do with it too, why they would want to stay?
It's nice. It's convenient, but the Los Angeles Dodgers AAA team's located in Oklahoma City.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Is it helpful to have it close-ish?
Look, if these guys need somebody called up on a moment's notice, they put them on a charter plane.
Right, and that's that.
And they're there in a couple of hours. So it's nice. This is Cardinals country. Maybe Atlanta Braves fans would disagree with that, but it's convenient, straight up 55 and whatnot. And speaking of 55, I know the number 55 million has gotten thrown out a lot. And that number was reported by our intrepid news side reporter, Sam Hardiman.
In terms of the park needing $55 million in renovations.
Yeah, which would be 20 million above the 35 million in deferred maintenance that Craig Unger was talking about. And that came from calculations that Sam made based on percentages paid to the consultant. Luckily, Sam did the math and I didn't because I was in dummy math at CDHS. But they have, neither the city nor the Redbirds have come out and acknowledged that number. They've said there is a number. They haven't acknowledged that number. So we know it's at least that base of what you said of 35 plus 5, but who knows how many million more at this point above that. And it'll be interesting to see if that comes out in the near future.
Tim, thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, Mary.
More news is next. Thanks for listening.
Dos Gatos Bike Shop held its grand opening Thursday in Midtown. Noah McLean says founder and owner Robert Ellis said he wants to fill the hole left by now closed bike shops like Revolution's Bicycle Co-op.
Dos Gatos, located about a quarter mile from Poplar Avenue, is designed to be an affordable community-focused bike shop that repairs and sells used bikes, as well as other things bikers may need, like seats, portable tire pumps, and those delicious energy gels. One of Dos Gatos owner Robert Ellis's end goals is to get all bike shops in the area together to put on, quote, a big weekend bike festival where people can come test ride different bikes and meet other people interested in biking. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Noah McLean.
The tallest building in East Memphis is on the market despite rising occupancy and ongoing investment. Andy Ashby says built in 1973, the 34-story Clark Tower has a 7-story parking garage with more than 1,000 spaces.
Commercial real estate firm CBRE is marketing Clark Tower, a more than 650,000 square foot office tower at 5100 Poplar Avenue, as an investment sale opportunity on its website. The asking price was not disclosed. According to Brian Califf, Executive Vice President with NAI SAG Company, potential buyers or investors for a large property like Clark Tower could be private equity real estate firms, real estate investment trusts, family offices, or regional operators who specialize in adding value. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Andy Ashby.
Memphis Public Libraries and the Friends of the Library will no longer partner in fundraising. Noah McLean says as a result, Friends of the Library fundraisers for the library system are temporarily paused.
The two organizations had operated under a Memorandum of Understanding, a legal agreement that outlined the structure of the partnership and the responsibilities of each party. but the library pulled out of talks as a, quote, business decision. In a statement, Library Director Eric Harris said he expected the transition to be completed quickly and that library patrons should experience, quote, little to no disruption to operations or services. For the Daily Memphian, I'm Noah McLean.
That's the AMDM for this Tuesday, July 14th. I'm Natalie Van Gundy. Find links to all of the stories mentioned in this podcast description. Listen and subscribe to this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or on the Daily Memphian's website. You can also hear us on WYXR 91.7, where our local news stories air every weekday throughout the day. And don't forget to subscribe to our other weekly podcasts, hosted by your favorite reporters, including Sound Bites with Holly Whitfield, The Sidebar with Eric Barnes, and the Daily Memphian Grizzlies podcast with Drew Hill and Chris Harrington. You can also sign up for our breaking news alerts and our many weekly newsletters we offer by visiting dailymemphian.com/email. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to start your day here again tomorrow.